Hi, I'm Jud from the Gaithersburg Book Festival, and I'm here with local historian Garrett Peck, who has a new book out, The Smithsonian and the Seneca Quarry. Garrett, welcome.
Thank you, Jud.
Tell us what got you interested in the Seneca Quarry.
Well, I produced last year, in 2012, a book about the Potomac River, and the quarry was the one site that I found while doing my research that no one even knew about it. It sits actually right along the C&O Canal, and everyone walks right past it, and yet most people have no idea that it even exists. It's just lost in the woods.
So, for people in Montgomery County who aren't familiar with where it is, can you describe its location?
Sure. It is right west of Seneca Creek, right above the turning basin along the C&O Canal. So I know many people who live in Montgomery County have been to the site before, but have just walked right past it and simply just haven't seen it because it's covered over with trees.
Right. Would you agree it's probably no more than 20-minute drive from the festival site in Gaithersburg, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's right at the very end of Riley's Lock Road. We park our cars over at the Seneca Aqueduct, and then the quarry is about 600 feet away from there.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of new information did you uncover in your research?
The biggest thing I uncovered here was about just how widely used the Seneca Quarry was around the Washington and Baltimore region. It, of course, became the source of Seneca redstone for the Smithsonian Castle, and then hundreds of buildings around the Washington-Baltimore area. So that was the single biggest thing, just being able to document this quarry's history. And unfortunately, there were no quarry records that were left intact, so I had to go dig through the archives, and I found a treasure trove of photos. For example, photos that show the quarry in action, many of which show African Americans who were a mainstay of the quarry workforce.
Now, that reminds me, I remember reading a Washington Post story a few months ago about slaves being involved with the quarry. What was your experience with that? I happen to agree with the research that came out a few months ago about this, and simply the question was, did slaves in fact work at Seneca Quarry? And it seems that yes is most likely the answer. I did find a federal payroll from 1823, and it was absolutely clear that slaves were involved in that particular project, which was either for the White House or for the Capitol. Gotcha. So I also noted that you uncovered a long-forgotten story of scandal that may have even included Ulysses S. Grant.
Indeed, scandal. Everyone likes scandal, but in this case here, this was a rather tragic scandal because the victims of the scandal were the 400,000 African Americans, former slaves, who lost their life savings. The scandal itself was called the Seneca Stone Cutting Ring Scandal, and it involved stock ownership from President Grant and then some very shady loans from the Seneca Sandstone Company, which could never be repaid back. One of those mortgages that they took out was from the Freedmen's Bank. And when the quarry went bankrupt in 1876, so did the Freedmen's Bank. And then all these people's life savings were wiped out.
Everyone lost everything.
Yeah, really tragic.
What did Montgomery County look like in the 19th century?
In the 19th century, Montgomery County was quite country. Today, it is the most prosperous county and certainly one of the most populated counties in Maryland. But that's very much a 20th century phenomenon. The 19th century, it was rural. One family in particular, the family that owned the Seneca Quarry, was the Peter family. They built Tudor Place in Georgetown, and they owned 11,000 acres of Montgomery County. One family, amazing. And largely this was farms. This was also a slaveholding society. So for the most part, these were farms that had 20 slaves or fewer. So not huge farms, but absolutely there were quite a number of slaves across Montgomery County. In fact, after the Civil War, Montgomery County went out and did a census of its former slaves and counted up about 3,000 former slaves who are now freedmen.
Very interesting. Now I want to just jump back to the C&O Canal. What should residents know about the canal? Where should we visit? What do you recommend? Yeah.
Well, first off, yes, please do visit the C&O Canal. It is a national treasure. It is really something, and we're so fortunate that we have it. You know, it is 184.5 miles long from Georgetown all the way to Cumberland, and the entire thing is a national park. So the entire north bank of the Potomac River is preserved as a national park. So, which is absolutely wonderful. There's few other places in the world or the country that you can see something like this.
You can certainly go explore the C&O Canal at so many different places. Georgetown is a favorite place. Great Falls is a personal favorite just because there's so many different hiking trails that are there. Yes, it gets a little crowded right around the falls themselves, but you can walk about a quarter mile away and you're by yourself. It's just absolutely amazing. So you can go do, there. By the way, everyone's heard of the Billy Goat Trail? Well, there's not just one, there are 3 Billy Goat Trails to go do right along the Potomac. So that's really fabulous. Obviously, you can also go see the Seneca Quarry, which is pretty cool. Other than that, I love going to Harper's Ferry. It's such a beautiful spot to go visit. I mean, spectacular scenery, rich history, and also a national park. So it's a great place to go explore the C&O Canal and John Brown's raid and slavery and industrialism and African American history and so on. It's got it all. Excellent recommendations. Let me ask, what compels you to write history? What compels me to write history? I'm a real nerd. I really am. I get these questions in my mind about, gosh, what about this quarry? Why has no one written about it before? And you know, I start just going down the rabbit hole, and then pretty soon I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to write a book about this, you know. So it's for me, it's always framed in terms of a question that I seek to go answer, and then at the end of the tunnel, I've got a book written, you know. So it's a really compelling thing for me just to go search out a question or the answer to a particular question. The stuff I write tends to be very, very research intense. It's all primary research. You go into archives for days and don't come out, and you know, you don't want to be too antisocial, but you know, it's a lot of alone time with lots of documents, you know. Right. But yeah, I really love doing it. It's fun, and you go find these little pieces of treasure that you know are unexpected once in a while. You know, like I found the document from John Parke Custis Peter, the guy who owned the Seneca Quarry, turning over the riverfront property to the C&O Canal. I found the deed where he had signed it twice, and I was like, "Eureka!" You know, it's total propeller head stuff, you know. But like, it's pretty cool when you find something like this in the archive. You know, it took an entire day of searching to find it, by the way. But you know, those kind of things makes it worth it. Now you say you proclaim yourself a nerd. I say you're the guy you want at the party because you're the one who's got all the stories. It's keeping everyone entertained. Oh, thanks. And plus, I like good beer too. So you know, yeah, well, there you go. What sort of stuff do you like to read? I tend to be a nonfiction reader, just because so often what I'm writing about next is things kind of dovetail into my research. So I write nonfiction. So that said, though, at the same time, I do also like to read fiction once in a while, and I like things that are heavy on the snark side. So my all-time favorite novel is A Confederacy of Dunces. And, I like that one too. Oh my gosh, it's just scandalously funny. And then probably right behind it is How to Become a Famous Novelist by Steve Helley, which is almost as snarky and equally funny. Right. Speaking of Confederacy of Dunces, we have a biographer of John Kennedy Toole as one of our authors at the book festival this year, so you might be interested. I'm totally going to get his book signed. Excellent. Yeah. So, Garrett, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Jud. You could come meet Garrett along with more than 100 terrific authors on Saturday, May 18th at the Gaithersburg Book Festival. Find out all the details on our website. Happy reading, folks. We'll see you in Gaithersburg.